Good morning, New Vision Center. So this is not a crying talk, but I have to tell you, there is something that just comes up from the inside when I see those online numbers, and I know that the online campus is really engaged, and I look out here and I see these beautiful faces and so many new people every single week. Oh, we're back. And it feels good, doesn't it? My name is Reverend Leslie. I'm one of your senior ministers here at New Vision Center, and it is my honor to welcome you, whether this is your first time in this room, your second, your 50,000th. Some of us, it feels like 50,000, doesn't it? Here's the most important thing I want you to know about your visit here today. Wherever you came from, whatever you've believed, whatever you've done in your life, who you love, where you're from, what your first language was, any neurodivergence that you think might be a barrier, anything that you think might be a barrier to belonging here, being loved here, exactly the way you are, let that go. You are wanted here, exactly the way you are. So, regulars, let's catch the newbies up, shall we? So we are having an annual theme called the Spiritual Hero's Journey. And the idea is that in every life, the lead, you're the lead in your life, in case you didn't know, that you are the hero of your own spiritual journey and that you're always on a spiritual journey. So we've been walking through this cycle, and we have a beautiful chart that we've been enjoying about the hero's journey, which is this overlay that you can put over basically any mythology or even modern fantasy stories, really anything that's worth watching, which basically means Harry Potter. Fear me. And we've gone through this process. We've answered the call to whatever the next big thing is in our life, and we might have had a moment where we turned the call down, but we've got back in the groove, and we have met mentors and built teams and put together practices, spiritual practices to serve us, and we've met trials, and we've learned to overcome them, and we've gone through this practice, and right here in the crucible of the summer in Phoenix, Arizona, we have met the flames of death and rebirth. And as Karen Blakely so beautifully pointed out, there's kind of a big gap here between the rebirth and the revelation of the highest expression of who we are. And we are in that gap. We are in that gap. We have allowed whatever wasn't serving us any longer to die away. And we have accepted the challenge to be reborn as this fantastic new whatever it is that we're becoming. And then there's this gap. It hasn't all the way shown itself to us yet. And so that is why my title of my talk today is called As Far as the Eyes Can See. As far as the eyes can see, we have possibilities, infinite possibilities. Because here's the deal. We've been reborn, but to what? But to what? In order to claim our highest, we must be open to things we have not considered yet. We must be open to things that we think don't exist. Because if we want the bigger, the grander, the more divine-led life, we have to open up to the new. And all around us are possibilities. And most of us are walking around like this. Right? The myopic lens of exactly what we've seen before. That's my life. That right there. Just that. That, not that. Just that right there. But we're ready to step out of that, right? We let the little circle we had taped around ourselves die in our figurative death. And now we're reborn. But if we stay standing in that same spot, it doesn't matter that we pulled the tape up of that circle. We have to be willing to entertain the idea that something over there looks real good. And then check it out, right? So how do we do that? We've spent our whole lives anchoring in to that thing right there. How do we learn to open up, to appreciate all of these possibilities, and to consciously choose what I'm creating in this next adventure? How do we find our path to that revelation? It's real easy. I'm going to explain it to you in 3 steps. The first one is just recognizing that there are possibilities as far as the eye can see. There are things that we can have that we've never even thought about. And it all hinges on this one very simple idea. We talked about it a couple years ago. We're going to review it now. The idea is this: the universe is really, really big. It's really big. And it's full of goodness. It's full of different kinds of ways to live, to dress, to love, to walk, to talk, to sing, to dance, to be quiet, to be loud, to do sports, to not do sports. It's full of opportunities and possibilities. And here's the kicker: every single one of them is available to every single one of us. Even if your mom didn't do it. Even if your dad doesn't know how to pronounce it. When I was in college, my dad very comically and oft-quotedly said to me, "You're just kind of a weird kid. You do yoga and you drink bottled water." Well, I am just kind of a weird kid. I'll take that. And that's the way we think about it. If it's outside of our little box, that's weird. And then inherently, somehow weird got linked to not good, not relatable, not for me, not okay, right? Okay, well, I am clearly a stand for yay weird in all things. And I'm really a stand for the recognition that if it exists on the planet, and it's an infinite universe, it's an infinite set of possibilities, if it exists and it calls to you, it's for you. If you see it, know about it, want it, it's for you. But we have to believe that. It only works if we believe it. It only works if we follow the logic. You know me, I love logic. God is all there is. Spirit, the universe, the beloved, whatever your phrase is that helps you understand that we're not talking about a gendered personality, but an energy of connection. If God is all there is, and I exist, I do, I can see me, I exist. And everything is God, because God is all there is, right? So there are possibilities. They're for me. They're for you. But you have to believe it. Are we willing to say that Spirit is all there is? I think I need more enthusiasm.
Yes.
Are we willing to say Spirit is all there is?
Yes.
Are we willing to believe that everything is made of it?
Yes.
Are we willing to believe that we are made of it?
Yes.
Are we willing to believe that then all of the universe is a gift to us from God itself?
Yes.
So I can have it? Yes. You can have it? Yes. All of it? Yes. Any of it?
Yes.
Sweet. Okay. First point down. Check. Oh, except there's this part about self-imposed limitations of perception. Oh, yeah, we probably better cover that one, huh? So I read an interesting statistic this week, and that is, of the things we think we see, we only get 10% of that information from our actual vision. Where's the other rest of it come from? In fact, from the things we think we experience and absolutely know because we were there and we witnessed it, only about 20% of that information comes from any of our senses at all. So 80% of it is coming from where? From the part of our brain where we make stuff up. We just make it up. And we're real sure, aren't we? We're really sure that we know what that person meant when they said that thing and how they felt about it and probably what they went and told someone else later. Now I know they told that person. I know. But we don't know. We don't know so much about what's going on. We make it up. And then here's the real kicker. We make it up, and then we make that be a rule about how our life is supposed to go. And then we make it a rule about how everybody else's life is supposed to go. And then we punish them if they break the rule. The imaginary made-up rule that we didn't tell them about and that we completely invented based on made-up crap from the back of our brain somewhere. Don't do that. Let's not do that. Let's not do that. So the first step in not doing that is just recognizing, oh yeah, we do that. We do that when we're not paying attention. So we do our best to get in that observer mind. The part of us that, have you ever been talking away to somebody, just jammering away, and then part of your brain goes, what are you talking about? That part. Let that part get a little bit more reign. The part of your brain that notices what you're doing, what you're thinking, right? We tend to think we are our thoughts, but we can't be our thoughts if there's a part of us that can pull away and be like, what you thinking about? And if we get really sassy, according to Professor Amit Goswami, who's a physics professor, a renowned physics professor, there's an observer to the observer. You can pull back and observe that observer, and you can pull back further and observe that observer. So if we keep pulling back, and we keep pulling back, and we keep pulling back, eventually we get to our higher wisdom self, which is who? Spirit, is God, right? Indwelling spirit. So the idea is we want to look beyond ourself, what we think ourself is, which is that initial, I know what she meant when she said that. That part, bless her sweet heart, that part of us. We treat her gently, but we do not believe her. Who we really are is that observer of the observer of the observer of the observer. You notice how I'm not going out, but I'm going in. The observer of the observer of the observer, which is indwelling spirit, which is conveniently located right at the heart of your very own self. Easy parking. Always online. Yeah, available. Just for you. So we have really no excuses. Oh, but we like them, don't we? Yeah, I'm so sorry. Those of you who really wanted to talk about why it's okay that you don't do spiritual practice, this is not your day. We need to look beyond that sense of who we think we are, into beyond of the beyond of the beyond, into that place of divine truth, which, like I said, is conveniently where we are. When we listen to spirit, we listen to wisdom, we listen with understanding. So Richard Bach, who is a wonderful, wonderful Christian writer, he says this: don't believe what your eyes are telling you. All they show is limitation. Look with your understanding. Find out what you already know, and you'll see the way to fly. This is worth taking apart a little bit. Don't believe what your eyes are telling you. Don't believe that spot is your spot. That is not your spot. I mean, you're welcome to be there. Just all the spots are your spot. Don't believe the memory of what you've experienced so far as the limitation of what you can have. It's just not true. All that shows you is limitation. It just shows you that is all you can have. That's not what we're doing here. Look with your understanding, which means look with your wisdom. Look with your connection to indwelling source. Look with your depth of consciousness. Find out what you already know. What you already know, okay, I won't ask for a raise of hands. I'll just look for giggles at how many people have been told what you need to do is blah, 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 blah. And you say, I know. I took that class. I read that book. Instead of what we know, find out what we already know. Take those things that we have the list of spiritual principles that people are always trying to put together, what we know, and drop that into your space of experience, your heart space, and then you'll see the way to fly. When we become what we thought we knew, when we become it by connecting with indwelling spirit, that is when limitation ceases to have a meaning for us. We've been working on this as a community for about 3 months, as we've been walking into that letting die off what is no longer serving to us. So Reverend Karen shared a Zen tale. She loves to share Zen tales, right? She finds the best ones. She shared one a couple weeks ago, and I want to revisit it. So it was this. There was a university professor who went to have tea with a renowned Zen master. And as he had his cup of tea, he's chatting about all the things he knows about Zen and all the things he knows about philosophy. And the master listened and listened and listened and listened, as Zen masters are wont to do. And when he finished his tea, he set down the cup, and the master went to pour him tea. And as he's pouring, the cup fills up, and now it's overflowing, and the master keeps pouring and keeps pouring. And he's like, you're spilling the tea all over the place. What is going on with all this tea? He said, well, that's you. Your cup is so full of what you think you already know that there's no space in your cup for any new wisdom. Right? So when I was thinking about that story, because it really landed for me, and I was thinking about this year of the spiritual hero's journey, I thought, the allowing ourselves to die to what no longer serves us is we dumped out our tea. As a community, we dumped out our tea. If you have not yet dumped out your tea, go ahead and dump it out. We're done with that tea. There's always more tea, right? Dump out the tea. For everybody who knows all the inside jokes about spilling the tea, there's so many layers of comedy to this talk that enjoy that. So we've poured out the old tea. How do we get fresh, new, inspired tea? There's no sense going back to the same old tea we always brewed, right? Because that'll just keep us where? In what we know instead of what we understand. We want fresh tea. And where do we get fresh tea? This is so not a cliffhanger. What was that, Karen Blakely? In the possibilities that we find through spiritual practice. That's right. You notice how quietly they all said it? Spiritual practice. One of these days I'm going to give a talk that isn't about doing your spiritual practice, but I don't know when that will be. I probably won't. We get fresh tea by doing spiritual practice. Okay, here's my it slices, it dices, it julienne fries pitch for spiritual practice. The only path that I've ever found in any faith tradition, in any non-faith, humanist, secular self-awareness tradition, the only path I have ever found to a calmer heart, a brighter future, a bigger sense of possibilities is through meditation and prayer. Is the only way. If you really, really, really hate the idea of practicing either meditation or prayer or both, I'm so sorry. But I've never found advice from anyone, anywhere, in all of time. And I've looked, because at a certain point I started trying to test this theory, right? Does anybody have anything? Is there any kind of fire dance? No, they're meditative too. Beading, crocheting, walking the labyrinth, sitting in silence, chanting, doing sacred dance. It doesn't matter how you do it, but 3 things do matter. That you get quiet to the chatter and open up to that infinite flow, right? That we do it for a long enough period of time that it actually changes our vibration. So minimum 15 minutes. Science says it's 12, but that's 12 from the time you hit that groove, and it takes me a couple minutes to hit the groove. I imagine you're probably the same. And that you do it consistently. And when I say consistently, I don't mean like once every couple of weeks. Consistently. I mean every day for a long time. How long is a long time? How long do you want to be happier? I want to be happier I'm greedy. I want to be happy for a real long time. Really long. And I would like to be really happy, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go ahead and recommit for the, 50 millionth time to the idea that I'm going to do spiritual practice every day for more than 15 minutes forever. How does that sound? If there's a part of you that is going, oh no, I don't like this church. And I do not like that lady. That's okay. That's okay. You're not there yet. And people don't show up here. People don't show up here unless there's something calling us to a bigger, brighter, fresher, more loving, more inclusive, more exciting, more powerful, deeper life, right? And that is the path. Spiritual practice. Every day, every day. Also, every day. So when we are looking to walk out this new reborn life, we're sweet little spiritual babies reborn, and we're going to walk out a life that meets more of the high truth of who we are. What do we got to keep an eye out for? The first one is avoiding potholes. Oh, the path has potholes. You know what the potholes are? The potholes are when we are unconscious and we fall back into our old patterns. You've all heard the story, right, about life in, I think it's in 5 chapters. I'm walking down the street, there's a big hole, I fall in it, I'm down there a long time, it's dark, it takes me forever to get out. Chapter 2, I'm paraphrasing. Chapter 2, I walk down the street, there's a big hole in the ground, I fall in, it's not my fault, I saw it, but I fell in anyway, I'm in there for a really long time, it takes me forever to get out. 3rd chapter, I'm walking down the street, fall in the hole. It isn't my fault. I get out faster. I figure it out. Chapter 4, I walk around the hole. I look at it. If I fell in it, it would be my fault. I'm not falling in that hole again. I've learned. Chapter 5, I go down a different street. This is the invitation to recognize we can try to dance around the hole. We've probably been doing that a while, right? Or we can go down a different street. We can go down a different street. As far as the eye can see, there are streets, and we're invited onto all of them. We get to pick. When we're unconscious, when we're not thinking about it, we could allow the parts of ourselves that we let die off reintegrate into our experience. If you dig a hole and then you leave it and you come back a few days later, some of the soil will have filled back in. Why? Erosion. Will is subject to erosion too. We have to plant something intentionally into that opened up space, or it'll just fall back to what it was before. So when we're deciding what to plant in that hole, the best thing we can do is connect with that higher vision. And how do we connect with the higher vision? Oh, come on, I know you know this answer. Spiritual practice, says Nancy. Good job. That's exactly it, through spiritual practice. It's not necessarily easy, but it is quite simple. We connect with that vision through spiritual practice. And the advantage of deciding what to plant based on what comes through spiritual practice is that you never, ever, 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 ever have to ask yourself, did I make the right decision? When it comes through spiritual practice, it's always the right decision. I don't know about y'all, but I got really tired of leaning into my ego and then worrying, was it good enough? Was it shiny enough? Was it bright enough? Am I smart enough? Am I tall enough? I'm not tall enough. Am I thin enough? Am I fancy enough? Am I old enough? Am I young enough? Am I blah, 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 blah? It's exhausting. But when it comes through Spirit, when Spirit says, hey, Joy, you're going to be a spiritual leader, and this is how you're going to do it, and this is the education you're going to get, and this is how you're going to reach out to people, and this is how you're going to touch people, and you go, but I don't know how. Do you know what the universe does? It tells you how, and it makes it easy. It's a genius plan. We should really all be using it. Somebody should tell somebody about it. What God calls us to, God must support. This has gotten me through ministerial school, gotten Jeff through ministerial school, got Karen through ministerial school, got Bev to ministerial school, and to Hawaii. I missed that plane, I guess. Whatever God calls us to, it supports. It makes it happen. It provides it for us if we are a yes. And then, it's just about deciding consciously every day to walk that path. So this is what Ernest Holmes has to say about it. When we shall learn to take part in creating our own destiny and to rejoice in the accomplishment already made, we can look forward to a bright future with hope and filled with limitless possibilities. When we shall learn to take part in creating our own destiny, what has the other part? Infinite Spirit. And how do we connect our intention with Infinite Spirit? I think I need some more enthusiasm. Yes, you got it. You got it. When we pair our high intention with spiritual practice and that voice of truth that links it together, we have made ourselves pothole proof. As far as the eye can see, as far as you could possibly imagine, are opportunities and options tailor-made for you. For you. And the whole universe is just waiting to conspire to bring it all to you. And all you need to do is invite it in every day for at least 15 minutes. Are we in? Yes. Are we in? Yes. And so it is. So I'd like to invite our practitioners and ministers of religious science to go ahead and take a stand with me as we anchor this prayer. As we take what we have known in our minds and take it all the way into the center of our heart where it connects with indwelling spirit. Indwelling spirit. Not spirit out there, not somebody else's, not something I read about, not something that Reverend Leslie shouts about on the platform, but the spirit that I feel on the inside of my beingness that says, oh, sweetheart, I have missed you, and I have the most wonderful plans for us. And so we are a yes to every good thing. We are a yes to growth and expansion. We are a yes to healing. We are a yes to supporting every single being we meet. We are a yes for inclusion and joy and education and calm and peace and excitement and brilliance. We are a yes to couch days, and we are a yes to skydiving and everything in between. Whatever we are called to is supported by infinite spirit, and all starts in the inside of our own selves, in our own temple of the Most High. And so I know that whatever was on the hearts of those who have joined this prayer, that it is being met by the infinite and endlessly powerful spirit within. But whatever is needed is provided, and that all is well, right here, right now. I'm grateful for it, and I call it beautifully good. And so it is.